Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Presidential Pets reaction video.
White House Conservatory. William McKinley had a yellow-headed Mexican parrot that could whistle Yankee Doodle named Washington Post. He also had some roosters and Angora kittens named after the Spanish General Valeriano Weyler and Spanish Ambassador Enrique Dupuy de Lome. Now, Theodore Roosevelt had more pets than any other president in American history. It was pretty much a zoo when he was there at the White House. So we'll just go in alphabetical order here by their names. We had Admiral Dewey, Bishop Doyne, and Dr. Johnson, Father O'Grady, and Fighting Bob Evans, who were all guinea pigs. Algonquin, who was a calico pony. Roosevelt's son Archie liked to ride him around. Baron Spreckle, who was a hen. Bill the Lizard, who was a lizard, yes. Blackjack, a Manchester Terrier. Eli Yale, a macaw. Emily Spinach, who was a garter snake that was named by Roosevelt's daughter Alice because, quote, it was as green as a spinach and as thin as my Aunt Emily. A pony named Fidelity. Dogs named Jem and Susan, terriers Jack and Peter, Jonathan Edwards, a small black bear from West Virginia, a rat named Jonathan, a badger named Josiah, a Pekingese named Manchu, a pig named Maud, a rabbit named Peter Rabbit, who even had a proper state funeral after he died, a bull terrier named Pete, a Saint Bernard named Rollo, a mongrel named Skip, a Chesapeake Bay retriever named Sailor Boy, two cats named Tom Quartz and Slippers, a laughing hyena named Bill. Yep, Roosevelt was the only one to have a hyena. A barn owl and a one-legged rooster, because I guess the two-legged roosters weren't
Theodore Roosevelt also had a three-legged rooster.
Available. So yeah, Theodore Roosevelt loved animals. He also loved to hunt animals. William Howard Taft had a dog named Caruso and two cows named Mooly Wooly and Pauline Wayne. I'm telling you, the names for all these animals, that's the best part. Woodrow Wilson had a terrier named Davy, a ram named Old Ike, a cat named Puffins, a bull terrier named Bruce, and some songbirds, and apparently as many as 48 sheep. The flock, you know, they kept the lawn trimmed. Warren Harding's dog, Laddie Boy, was the first to get regular newspaper coverage. He also had a bulldog named Old Boy, and a canary named Petey, and a squirrel named Pete. Calvin Coolidge also loved pets similar to Theodore Roosevelt. So yeah, let's start with the dogs. There was Rob Roy and Prudence Prim, who were white collies. Peter Pan, a wire hair fox terrier. Paul Pry, an Airedale terrier. Calamity Jane, a Shetland sheepdog. Tiny Tim and Blackberry, Chow Chows. Ruby Roche, a collie. Boston Beans, a Boston Bulldog. King Cole, a Belgian Sheepdog. Palo Alto, an English Setter. Bessie, a Collie. Rebecca, a raccoon, who was also originally intended for a Thanksgiving feast, but First Lady Grace ended up saying, no, let's keep it as a pet. And she had a tree house built for it, and she even put it on a leash and walked it. And then later there was another raccoon at the White House named Reuben. He was a companion for Rebecca, you know. Ebenezer, a donkey. Nip and Tuck, canaries. Peter Piper and Snowflake, two more canaries, a yellowbird named Goldie, a songbird named Do Funny, a goose named Enoch, a bobcat named Smokey, lion cubs, and their names were Tax Reduction and Budget Bureau. That fits Calvin Coolidge very well. And then regular domesticated cats named Blackie and Tiger, a pygmy hippopotamus named Billy, an unnamed wallaby, an unnamed very small type of antelope called a diker, another black bear called Bruno. Yeah, Grace promptly sent him to the zoo. And then finally, 13 ducklings. Whew, that was a lot, Calvin Coolidge. When Herbert Hoover ran for president in 1928, his advisors thought it was a good idea for him to get photographed with King Tut. No, not the actual King Tut. Yeah, his Belgian shepherd named King Tut. Hoover's advisors thought the publicity stunt would help him get elected, and it probably did. Hoover took King Tut all the way to the White House. Hoover also had an opossum called Billy Possum, a roller canary called Caruso, a German shepherd named Pat, Marks, an English setter, fox terriers named Big Ben and Sonny, a Scotch collie named Glenn, a Canadian Eskimo dog named Yukonin, an Irish wolfhound named Patrick, a setter named Eaglehurst Gillette, and a Norwegian elk hound named
Herbert Hoover also had alligators. Oops.
named Wiggy. Franklin D. Roosevelt had a German Shepherd named Major, who was formerly a police dog, a Scottish Terrier named Meggie, a Setter named Winks, an Old English Sheepdog named Tiny, a Great Dane named President, a Bull Mastiff named Blaze, and finally, the most famous presidential pet in American history, Fala, a Scottish Terrier. Fala was originally called Big Boy. Roosevelt renamed him Murray the Outlaw of Fala Hill after John Murray of Fala Hill, one of his famous ancestors. Since that was a lot to say, of course, folks later just shortened it to Fala. He was always doing cool tricks on the White House lawn, and the reporters were always writing about him. As FDR ran for a fourth term in 1944, some of those reporters pushed the rumor that he had spent millions of taxpayer dollars to go back to Fala after he'd been accidentally left behind in the Aleutian Islands. FDR completely denied it, later saying, quote, "You can criticize me, my wife, and my family, but you can't criticize my little dog." He's Scotch, and all these allegations about spending all this money have just made his little soul furious. Fala is the only presidential pet honored as a statue at a memorial. There he is at Washington, D.C.'s Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial. Harry Truman had a Cocker Spaniel named Feller and an Irish Setter named Mike. Dwight D. Eisenhower had a parakeet named Gabby and a dog named Heidi. John F. Kennedy had quite a few pets this short time in office. He had a poodle named Golly, a Welsh Terrier named Charlie, a German Shepherd named Clipper, an Irish Cocker Spaniel named Shannon, an Irish Wolfhound and Schnauzer mix named Wolf. He had a Doberman Pinscher named Mo, a dog named Pushinka and the offspring, Butterfly, White Tips, Blackie, and Streaker, a cat named Tom Kitten, a canary named Robin, parakeets named Bluebell and Marybelle, a rabbit named Jaja, a horse named Sadar, some hamsters named Billy and Debbie, and then of course all the ponies. He had Leprechaun, a gift from President de Valera, the President of Ireland, and Tex and Macaroni. So, you know, he had to have ponies for his daughter, Caroline. Caroline also raised ducklings at the White House. Lyndon Johnson had lovebirds, hamsters, a mongrel dog named Yuki, a white collie named Blanco, a beagle named Freckles, another beagle named Edgar, and the most famous beagles of all, him and her. Yep, that's Johnson picking up her by the ears. A lot of people were upset by this, but Harry Truman later said, quote, "That's how you handle hounds." Richard Nixon, he had Checkers, which went back to when he was vice president. Checkers was the dog from the famous Checkers speech, in which Nixon denied having a slush fund, but admitting that Checkers was the gift he was not giving back.
You know, the kids, like all kids, love the dog. And I just want to say this right now, that regardless of what they say about it, we're going to keep it.
And that's when everyone fell in love with Nixon, you know. But yeah, also in the White House, Nixon had a poodle named Vicky, a terrier named Pasha, and an Irish setter named King Timahoe. Gerald Ford had a golden retriever named Liberty. Liberty's daughter was Misty, born at the White House. He also had a dog named Lucky and a Siamese cat named Sean. Jimmy Carter had a border collie mix named Grits, an Afghan hound named Louis Brown, and also a Siamese cat named Misty Malarkey Ying Yang. I'm sure Joe Biden would not have liked that cat. Ronald Reagan had a dog named Lucky, a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel named Rex, who also got a lot of publicity, a golden retriever named Victory, an Irish setter named Peggy, a Siberian husky named Taka, a Belgian sheepdog named Fuzzy, and he also had some cats, Cleo and Sarah, and horses, who were all back at his ranch. George H.W. Bush had a Springer Spaniel named Millie, and one of Millie's puppies named Ranger. Bill Clinton had a cat named Socks and a chocolate Labrador retriever named Buddy. George W. Bush had a dog named Spotty, a couple of Scottish Terriers, Barney and Miss Beasley, a cat named India Willie, and a longhorn cow back at his ranch called Ophelia. Barack Obama had two Portuguese water dogs named Bo and Sonny. It's estimated that there have been more than 400...
Bye, guys.